looking at Navi to start things off strong here.
I think both teams know what to expect from each other here. Completely shut down.
Neo does finally find Zeus. Trying to get things done, 4-on-2. Can he pull this off? He's in that corner, and he will. Up in the window, finds Edward as well. Nice 3K so far. Can he add any more to it? He's even it up, and he gets seized. Woo! There's the 4. Can he find the ace? It's just going to be Flame. We see him coming up middle. Bomb about to be planted. Flaming, whoa, deleting Snacks. He did get the bomb down, however. It has to be the ace here.
Finds the ace. Oh, headshots. Are you kidding me?
If he gets through the smoke without them seeing it, he makes it through.
He gets the headshot onto Guardian. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome here to the Bravo stream. That's mlg.tv/play-CEVO2. Myself, Helium, and over there, that's going to be Launders are taking you through the pregame and the vetoes for mousesports and Navi.
Yep, should be an excellent match. Again, this is mousesports and Navi, who mousesports ended up qualifying by happenstance because they had to take the place of
G2.
At last, it was G2.
Yeah.
Right. Originally, it was Hellraisers G2 to go head-to-head. Hellraisers were the ones to come out ahead in the round differential. Then G2 took their place because they couldn't make it, and then G2 had the same issue. But mousesports being here isn't a really big problem. I think they have a great chance to actually get far in this LAN. It's going to start right here in groups, and Navi are probably going to be one of their hardest, if not hardest, competition throughout the entire LAN.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of a... I mean, if you want to win a tournament, you got to beat everybody. So you can't really say it's a shame they have to come in and play one of the strongest contenders. We just saw Navi get to the semifinals of the major. So you know that they're going to be strong contenders, world-class contenders. Guardian, you know, having practiced, having, you know, run drills, essentially, the equivalent of that in CSGO. For the first time in his career, he did that going into DreamHack, and that wasn't that long. Honestly, feels like it was yesterday because it was actually just a few days ago that these guys have flown over from Romania. They're back here now in Columbus, Ohio. And they are ready to wage war. Maybe rage. We saw some keyboards were punched last time.
That's true.
Some keyboards were punched last night by myself.
Tables shook. Yeah, last night by ourselves when we were landing on the LAN PCs here, warming them up for the players.
So vetoes are coming up pretty soon, so there's definitely a lot to talk about there. We were talking offline earlier about what maps we thought would come out.
Yeah.
And it is a best of 3 again, just to reiterate. Everything here is a best of 3, so we'll have that veto process. Each team banning one map, picking, and then you've got 3 maps left over. 1 will be randomized. So, I mean, looking at the bans, what do you think Navi would want to take away from mousesports?
Yeah, so from what we looked at in their last 7 matchups, Navi were able to take 4 of them. And mousesports are only able to take 3, obviously. So I think in terms of map pools, there shouldn't be an edge in terms of who is better on how many maps. The problem is for mousesports is that Navi have a similar map pool, right?
Yeah.
So I think that Navi might want to bring it to cash, except that mousesports will also want to bring it to cash. And Overpass is an option. Mirage might be what we expect to see be mousesports' pick, and I think that it looked like a high chance of Overpass for Navi.
Yeah, I would expect Navi to ban cash. It's like the one point where there isn't.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, I think you got yourself mixed up in your brain a little bit. It's like the one point where there isn't overlap is on cash, and we can see the players there now walking around. And no maps quite banned yet. They're huddled up. That's Nex actually sitting off, still kind of isolated right now. Maybe because I don't know if there's an issue going into the vetoes or not. But I would think Cash would come out because you look at mousesports, the 2 maps, I mean, Dust 2 and Cash for sure is something they're going to want to play. But I don't think Navi will let them have Cash, so maybe mousesports goes for Dust 2. Yeah,
no, we thought maybe, even though Navi have pretty good win percentage on Dust 2, that they might ban it versus Cash, because, or versus... There it is, Cash again. They might ban it versus mousesports because mousesports are particularly good on Dust 2, and so they could just easily avoid that map, play another map that they both like, but that Navi would have a better chance on. So that's why we kind of formulated that Mirage might be might come up.
And just absolutely expecting Train to be taken away.
Yeah, kind of. I think mousesports I know that Gob really wanted to start playing Train a lot more.
But do you want to start against one of the best Train teams in the world?
Well, who knows how much they've been practicing it as of recently. So we're counting only like official map statistics. So anything could happen. Eventually, it's going to have to be picked and be like a surprising option. But that being said, are they ready for it? Do they need to? Because right now, I think that they're not going to have any of their like super favorite maps banned without having another one that they can play. Both these teams have similar map pools again. That's kind of the double-edged sword for both of them here.
So there's Train. Train is gone. That's not a surprise whatsoever. There's maybe another map that mousesports might want to play. That's Inferno. They were online matches, but the 2 times that these teams have met up online in the last 3 months or last 30 matches it was on Inferno, and mousesports actually did lose 16-5, but maybe they want to play it. And then there was Mirage, where it went into overtime, and mousesports took it, I think, something like 19-17.
Yeah, 19-16, and it was like 8-7 halves, both halves.
So now just waiting on that ban from Navi. It's definitely a choice between Dust 2 and Cash. Do they want to maybe play to their strengths or really try to take away a strength of mousesports?
Yeah, I think it's always a good rule of thumb for the veto process to try to ban maps that you're not good at, not ban maps that the other team is good at, because you want to play to your strengths. So you'd expect
the Cash more so by that logic?
Yeah, more so, but then also you want to, the other part of that is that you want to ban a map that you think is going to be chosen by the other team, and I think that there's a high likelihood of a Dusty ban, but at the same time, yeah, Cash could be very likely as well. All the maps left after that, it's kind of like Mouse just at that point only want to avoid Inferno, I think. So as you mentioned, that 16-5 could be a daunting victory. And it was like I want to say it was like 5 rounds straight CT side and then 11-4 half on T side. So pretty dominant performance, and
there's Cash gone.
Yeah, and there it is, Cash. So everything kind of falling into place. I don't think there's any unexpected maps so far. Yeah, we got that Mirage pick right off the bat for mousesports, and then Overpass. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we might have confused ourselves here in the pregame when we were talking between ourselves, but that's actually exactly what we had thought was going to happen.
Yeah, that's
when we were talking offline. We thought it was going to be Mirage.
Like here we are
the
discussing
pick.
What could possibly change.
Yeah.
But the conclusion that we came to before the stream
we should have just started
was,
with this.
We should have said these are going to be the maps that have banned.
Certainly looked better.
And yeah, so we do have the picks are exactly as we expected. I assume that it was kind of understood between both teams how the veto process was going to go, barring any surprises in the bans. And the third map, the random map is actually going to be Inferno, which greatly, in my opinion, favors Navi, at least from the
I think so as well.
The small amount of stats that we have seen. But Inferno's just not a map that's played a lot anymore in general, and for a team who really mastered it, well, it was played a lot and was comfortable contending against top teams like VP, NIP, NV, formerly LDLC on Inferno. I think that Navi still carrying that with them is really strong, because I doubt mousesports practice it nearly as much. They just don't see it played as many times.
And it seems like the CEVO pick 1 of 3 algorithm actually works, because you'll notice that Cobble was in the map pool still,
somehow avoided the 99% chance
it wasn't picked.
I think we got a knife.
Yeah. It would have actually been pretty crazy if Dust 2 became that random map, because then you're like, ooh, I mean, you still got to favor Navi, but the maps themselves maybe would favor mousesports a little bit. They'll certainly have to get the revenge. Those are the 2 maps they played online recently, the Mirage and the Inferno. They won the Mirage, but this time they'll have to, either upset Navi on Overpass, which I don't really see happening, especially with the way that Guardian's been opping now.
Yeah.
But Chris J, right? Then this is where Chris J comes into the conversation.
Yeah.
How was he going to stand up to an opera like Guardian? Because certainly Chris J is able to pull off these amazing plays.
Yeah, he is. I think he'll really shine an Overpass. In the last few times that we've seen him play, it's kind of been middle of the pack, because he's had to compete with Nex and Nico. Like at Cluj, it was like Nex had a map where he'd have 30 frags, a few rounds in the second half, and then Nico would have 30 frags in the exact same fashion. And that left Chris, how many frags can you get as a team, especially if you're not going to win? And I guess that means that if Chris isn't able to get above 20, between 20 and 30 as an opper, then that might affect their chances of advancing, or at least beating Navi, who, typically you won't see too many head-to-head op duels between top operas. Like, we like to compare statistics between them, but
They never find each other that often.
yeah, they never really find each other. You know, Mirage, for example, is a classic mid to mid pick, but no one peeks mid without that smoke, and sometimes you don't have a spawn, you're not going to see the other person, so it's very rare overall to see them actually go head to head. That's why I think on Overpass there's more of a chance of that, because Chris is going to move around quite a bit.
It's also, honestly, like, you buy the op because you want to start off a round by, you know, looking at a long sight line and actually finding someone with an AK who can't really fight back as effectively, especially with all the, there's a lot of talk about the first shot accuracy of the AK. Reddit's been buzzing about that. You know, that thread comes up a couple times every month about that. So you want to find those AKs. You don't necessarily, unless you're feeling very confident and just want to get another opera's head, you're never really hunting for the other opera. Maybe on Mirage is different because you're gonna go middle pretty. Like, maybe you go A ramp to open it up on the T side, but most of the times you're gonna be peeking.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of chances for them to actually meet up, and I guess on both these maps that makes it like the two maps in the entire pool where operas can most likely go head to head. So I'm gonna have to like retract most of what I meant by what I said, because on these maps specifically, there's a lot of room for like CT operas to open up around based on their spawn. The spawns are really wide and far apart, and they can result in a mid spawn, a connector spawn, in a palace spawn, a ramp pick spawn, a B app spawn even, and pushing cat is very standard. So there's a lot of places that can happen. So it'll have to come down to some luck.
And then maybe talk about the riflers a little bit. You already kind of talked about Nico and Nex. Nex was, of course, the big star on mousesports. Now Nico coming along and just dropping bombs. No, actually we got some mousesports stats to look at while we're talking about them. So let's pull that up. This looks to be their regular season. The 4 wins, 3 losses, 3 ties. The regular season was a best of 2 format, and every map was a point. So that's how they got here. Looking for the efficacy, it's Nico up top and 90.2 average damage per round.
Yeah, I mean, that is really, really insane. Though it seems like Nex is actually just trailing behind with the 89.5. Doesn't pop out at you right away because 90 is a different bracket, but at the same time, that is very, very close in terms of impact on the game. Yeah, Chris is definitely not meeting what you'd expect from someone who has an op in his hands, who can do 100 damage a shot.
Only having 72 ADR.
Only having 72 ADR. It doesn't make a difference. You know, Dennis is even beating him out, and you know, you wouldn't expect much from God being the caller, being the mastermind, and you know that is repeated over and over again. But it doesn't make it any less true. Your job as an IGL does cloud your ability to be able to focus on what's on your screen, right? Because you're caretaking for the rest of your teammates by looking at the radar very often and constantly making calls.
And then there's Dennis as well. Dennis with 1 N.
Yeah, Dennis,
not that we have to contend with 2 N Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis, I mean, he's regarded as a support player, but he goes crazy all the time. He does insane pistol rounds. He constantly gets 2 and 3 Ks. He gets a lot of clutch rounds, and he's a very reliable rifler. I mean, he's just he's not a support player in the sense of, in the derogatory sense, where you look at a team and you say, this guy's obviously a support player because he's not fragging. You know, that might not be the case for that person. But it just appears that way because of their fragging potential. And with Dennis, he can really put the numbers up. So I wouldn't say he's a support player so much as he's just getting overshadowed by the amount of stars on the team.
I mean, he certainly has his games. If you look back, it's definitely outside of the 3-month window that we usually kind of keep our analysis to. But when mousesports first kind of got their roster stabilized back when it was Speedy instead of Nico, and I guess it was Dennis and Speedy kind of thought of the support players. It was Dennis against VP on those combo matches where mousesports beat VP twice in that tournament, either the spring or summer. I can't remember at this point. But Dennis had some crazy rounds, some clutches from the back of the A site, I recall. So definitely going to be looking forward to seeing mousesports play here on LAN. But now the other team, we already talked about Guardian, of course, training and looking better than ever. Fallen even had a quote at the major, which was like, it was like awe-inspiring. He's like, Guardian is opping better than anyone and has ever opt in Counter-Strike history.
Wow.
Like, he said that in one of the interviews with Mantrus. So, I mean, that's quite a compliment. And, of course, Luminosity is also here. And they might even have a rematch themselves, Navi and LG.
Yeah, that is going to be a big deal as well. That those two teams are just, you got high hopes for both of them, right? Coming to the last major, Navi making the final, Luminosity getting out of groups is a big deal in itself. You know, there's no easy teams to beat there, and they didn't have an easy. I mean, they beat Fnatic in a best of 1. They beat Cloud9 out. They actually had top seed in their group, so that was, you know, that's definitely nothing to pass off as That's a small achievement.
But to talk about the riflers, so we talked about Guardian, of course, a lot. Talk about the riflers on that team. Seized is always a player that's kind of stood out for me. Maybe he doesn't get. I think more he gets talked about now, but
I think he's like the best player on the team.
Yeah,
Guardian.
exactly. I think Seized is really, really good. Flamey, of course, has his games, and then Zeus, you know, the IGL. And it's honestly, with a team like Navi, the way they utilize their coach, the way they use Starix, it's almost even worth talking about him.
Yeah.
He's got a very big impact on that team.
Yeah. I think with Seized, what makes him special, I think Seized plays the same role in Navi that Hiko does in Liquid now. Like solo side anchor, he can lurk, and the value in having a solo side means that you're going from a 2-1-2 setup to playing 3-1-1. That's enormous, right? You can hold down the big site with an extra man and know that your guy in the solo site will get 2 kills every round no matter what. That is an insane amount of responsibility, and you know, you have players like Swag, players like Hiko, players like Seized, Get Right. These players being able to do that actually creates so much value on the CT side for a team, and Navi are always getting really, really good CT halves, and it's definitely a large part due to Seized.
Yeah, he's even a bit of an innovator. For instance, you look at Overpass, I call it the Seize Molotov, where you line it up from T-spawn, throw it to land on sandbags, and spam the walls.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Seize came up with that. Maybe that's not quite 100% true, but that's where I learned it from. And now almost everybody uses that Molotov just to lock off that construction, control the squeaky door.
Yeah.
And then Zeus and Flamey, right?
Yeah.
And Edward, of course,
Yeah.
as well.
Edward
Who stands out more, Flamey or Edward for you?
Definitely like Flamey in the sense that like he's younger talent. He's got like incredible HSV. Like every time he plays, just like super precise aim. And Edward to me is kind of like the Neo of the team, who really does still have a lot of big games. You know, he's not really like that old star that just can't play anymore. He really is still extremely good. But in terms of like star potential, I think Flamey is up and coming. Flamey has proved himself time and time again, and always puts up big numbers. Sometimes he just goes absolutely insane. So he's a player to watch for me. I just think C's just because more experience and because he has like that solo site role. But Flamey as an entry fragger is invaluable in the sense that if he does get 2 kills in that round, you win it. So.
Well, hopefully, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. So it looks like we're having some issues with the teams, getting them into the server, getting them ready to play. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we return, hopefully we'll be doing the flybys on our first map of Mirage. Stay tuned. When I say quick, I mean quick, Launders, because as soon as we went to a break, the teams were ready to go. I guess that's just how live entertainment happens to be. So it's Mirage coming up. Navi mousesports here on the Bravo stream at the CEVO MLG Season 8 Pro League Finals.
Yeah, you know, I have high hopes for mousesports on this map. It's a map that has long distances, really requires good smokes. It has a focus on mid control, and I think that both teams excel in both these areas, and that can create some explosive rounds. So moving into this, I expect a really, really close game. I mean, if I were to go for a pred, I'd say like a 16-13, and this is Mouse's pick. I'm gonna have to give it to them, 16-13.
All right, so taking it in regulation. I mean, obviously the data we have to work off in this matchup went all the way to OT for the 1917 mousesports taking it.
What about you?
I think Navi are still going to take it.
Yeah.
I'll just reverse it. I'm going to flip-flop. 16-13 the other way. So here on that pistol round. We've got mousesports heading into Palace and a ramp. 3 members with armor. It's going to be Dennis and Gob B that will have the utility flash, and actually going for an HE. I wonder where that's going to go. That's kind of interesting. You normally expect that smoke, and actually some of them have already been thrown to jungle, but even through that smoke, Guardian bringing down one Flamey before that. Now next, trying to clear out CT. He will do that successfully, taking down Flamey, but Guardian now pushing in and grabbing 2 frags very, very quickly. Dennis fighting for his life, but out in the open and surrounded, he will fall.
Guardian 3 frags for himself, and it was almost because they executed just before the smoke swap. Like, I feel like he had line of sight on Palace for a moment, capitalized on a headshot, and got another couple of kills. Ultimately, like, through and around a smoke. So the fact that mousesports weren't able to get the bomb down, I think largely in part due to the fact that they executed maybe a little bit too early, I want to say, and ultimately felt that there's some really good shooting. I think a lot of it had to do with muscle memory when you're snapping through that smoke.
Yeah, definitely. These players at this level are just going to know where to shoot, even if the smoke is there. And Guardian trying to get in their heads and click on their heads. Already at middle, peeking window, takes down next. Here's Zeus just hiding out with the P90. Dennis does find at least 1 kill, but bomb's already down in middle. There's no hope for that economy building round mousesports was maybe hoping for here. It's just Nico with the Deagle, and no chance. Guardian with back-to-back 3Ks to start this match.
Deagle's not economically sound by any means. Like, in most cases, it almost always lets you down, but there are certain situations where it's better than anything else. I mean, it is a 1-bullet headshot from like any distance, and yeah, if you want to go pick mid with a pistol, that is how you do it. And the thing is with Nico is just like he almost always will get a kill with a Deagle, even though it's very hard to use. Like, his ability to get headshots with that thing is uncanny. So again, like, buying a Deagle on this round too, that's $1,400 in total. It is a huge investment, but he literally makes it worthwhile basically most of the time.
Yeah, and the Deagle on land is a different animal. Actually feels like it has bullets in it. It's quite nice. Already Guardian starting off with another kill. I think that's going to mark 7 for him in just the 3 rounds. Haven't even seen the entirety of this one. Seized, holding a close angle. He's got support down there at the van. Flashbang in. Not the pop flash, but still quite effective. Blinded the 2 men in the front. And now the smoke going down. Going to play right up close so he cannot get flashed. And just hope that they start to push through. Killing a lot of time. Already below a minute right now. Alright, they'll find seized. And that's Edward helping him out in the window. And he'll be the one to get a frag with that UMP. He takes down Nico. mousesports just with some upgraded pistols on this round, of course. Seized actually TKing. So it looks like he's got a triple. I'll give him a triple kill for that.
Always got to get 3 kills at B.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were playing really close to that smoke, had a lot of control. I feel like mousesports at no point wanted to actually execute, noticing the posturing of Navi, throwing that smoke up there, potentially boosting onto plat, and I think that made that really, really sketchy for them. And it was just a good setup from Navi to keep them scared that entire round. And once you commit to like a site with 5 people, you don't have options. You can't just like run back across the map and get killed rotating. That's almost a waste of time. But even though they didn't, they still got killed before they were able to get a bomb down. So now we'll go into this round.
Oh, Guardian actually blocked the window smoke. It hit him. I guess he was trying to do that. He was up on the ledge. Edward, though, is going to be the first casualty. He's pushing up 80, goes down. Guardian changes. No, he was in the window. Another man supporting in the connector. And I don't know. I would assume they're expecting that window to have been smoked, but it's not. Nice play by Guardian. Dennis. He's the front man trying to open up this A site. That's Flamey back there at CT. Zeus coming over to help. He'll go up the stairs, but very blind. And now the smokes are coming down. mousesports. Oh, that's a massive gap, though. That could be a problem. Flash is going through it. Somehow still alive. And that was Dennis hopping through. Now Flamey with the FAMAS. We'll bring down next. Dennis chiming in, and Guardian going to change his position. He'll let Zeus handle it from here. And on the flank, you've got Seized still with that P90. He's the key man to watch. Chris J takes down Zeus. Nice shot for him, but the lineups and this man's planting. They can't even defend themselves. Seized with a triple spray down.
And absolutely no expression on Edward's face after that round, but what a crazy one from Zeus, who actually managed to get 3 kills on the flank. Everybody was grouped up very nicely for him. nobody even like checked a ramp. So he really did have just the perfect positional play in that round. It wasn't even timing strike in that situation. Just came through and made it happen. And around that, I feel like Navi should have been able to clean up even earlier because, as you mentioned, that jungle smoke was horrible. They did throw it just coming up the A ramp because they were playing contact.
Yeah, it's harder to line up when you're just close.
Yeah, they definitely were just throwing it offhand. And those are the breaks. You kind of throw that smoke at risk of, or for the opportunity to try to catch someone off guard. And again, all grouped up at B behind this really deep smoke with Navi performing the exact same setup. But will they push for information? Because that can make the difference. I mean, you can have 2 players at B, but if you don't actually try to get information, you are still relying on the site hold. And that could give mousesports an advantage if they do just hit 2 quick headshots. They do have half armor.
Yeah, and of course, Zeus keeps the P90 dream alive, so that's on the field. That's always going to be very dangerous. Those SMGs, pretty much their role is to shut down the pistols, the Tech 9 armor. And it looks like a smoke execute. We do see 3 smokes, I think, going out. Now the pop flash for Nico, and they're going to go. That pushes the player off of Van. Nico's blind, but you can't stop. You got to go in anyways. Now getting blind from the CT flashes. Edward's taken down next. Seized has still gone unnoticed, and Edward is very healthy here in the B site. Seized now gets his frag. Will fall, but Edward, nice shooting, and Guardians made his rotation out of the market. He's needed for 1 frag.
You know, I really would have liked to see more explosiveness there from Nous. I mean, I realized they got hit by a nade, but they altogether really didn't get out at the same time. And I think that, you know, if your front guys are up a little bit ahead and your back guys aren't, then maybe you're waiting for your back guys, or maybe your back guys need to be closer to your front guys. But either way, if all of you jump through that window with 40 HP, you might not get a kill, but you come a lot closer than you would in that situation where it was pretty much a 1 at a time free shot for everybody. And I think that lack of explosiveness is something that they'll think about moving into future rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the initial spacing, like that gap comes from where you need to throw the smokes from, but certainly they should get behind Nico, basically tap him on the shoulder, say throw this flash now, and then they should all have exploded.
And you know, you don't even execute right when the smokes are thrown. You execute when they pop. So you do have a moment to actually reorganize. And you know, I do mention that because I think like Mouse are at deficit right now, and they lost a round that was pretty sloppy, even though you know, there was a huge flank that got Navi the kills, but you know, Gob always talks about how when Mouse are on all cylinders, you really do see that kind of explosiveness and everything just working out because they're playing really quickly. And here, not so much, but Chris, wow, just probably catching a glimpse of Guardian.
Yeah, it looked like Guardian was just watching that smoke bounce, figuring out where it was going to go. So they throw the reverse A connector smokes. Here's Nico entering out of Palace. There is a man below him in shadow who is very, very low. Will Nico check it? He jumps over to safety, then turns to look, finds Flamey. So it's only seized. Looks like mousesports will limit the damage to 5 rounds in a row, but of course resetting their own losing bonus here. They do plant the bomb, and let's see what seized can do. I mean, probably just wants to save, but I mean, Navi's been winning these rounds fairly convincingly, so we know that they can buy again.
Yeah, no one has ever been surrounded harder than Seized in this situation. Every single avenue of exit, there was no chance for him to save that, and mousesports come away with a round. 5 players alive, and that actually makes it so that this round, no matter what happens, they lose it, they'll have enough money to buy it. So this is the only situation where you wouldn't have one player on a Tech 9 or a complete save going on if you lost the next round. And so because they saved 5 players on that round, they'll have a great opportunity here because there's going to be a lot less pressure on them, and they're coming off a round win, and they'll have the opportunity to get Navi on an eco.
I was say, Navi's money's broken a little bit. I think it was only Flamey that had a little bit of money working for him, so maybe Navi would go to a force buy situation, or they just won't have to. Guardian starting things off strong. They're aware another man is here. He'll take down Chris J. Guardian with a quick 2. Even try for some spam to find a 3rd. Might have even tagged him. Nico was down to 58, but no, that's in the A site. He takes down Flamey. Zeus is there for the trade. 4-on-2 in favor of Navi. Just another day at the office for them. All right, Gombi going to get one as Edward tries to push through that smoke, but there's Zeus once again to trade off for his team. Finally, he'll go down to Gombi, who's picked up the bomb. But it looks like he's going to get, I can't tell on the radar if he's underpass or on the catwalk, but yeah, it's catwalk. So almost getting pinched, but Gombi just breaking on through to the other side in the nick of time. Will come back looking for the frag, but he can't find it.
He hit him in the head.
Yeah, he got dinked through the fence.
Oh, that is so unlucky. He could have actually won that. That would have been a 4K on the round. It would have been basically a 1v4. I mean, we had a player alive, but You know, Gob was just there to trade immediately, so very close round. But again, they're able to buy. I mean, most situations you would consider saving, or maybe even just forcing up what you can. But here we do have a full team of rifles, and even an op on Chris, who actually did lose kind of a head-to-head battle with Guardian, and not a place where you'd expect it over at B. But you know, as we mentioned,
it's a really close range battle too.
Yeah, very close range. And I think that was a very legitimate chance for Chris to win as well. Not maybe anticipating the repeat of Guardian.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the repeat that caught him off guard there. But I mean, you're already winning 5-1. Your Guardian, I think he's 12-3 in the server right now. He's got that confidence. He's gonna throw some repeats at you. Oh, and eating some nades over at A ramp, especially next in Chris J. Gobby gonna find the entry. He takes down Edward. That's over at the connector, but here it comes next. Also taking down Flamey. It's going to be Zeus in a pivotal position this round. He's got to find that frag. He does. Not taking much damage for it. Does get behind cover. Finds a second. Re-peeking in for the third. Drops the bomb. And Guardian and Seized coming over from, I think, CT and Stairs.
How people do that with the A4, I'll never know. But Zeus, yeah, locking down that spray, getting another 3K on a very critical round. And that one indeed is critical because now mousesports have to save. I mean, they had 2 chances. You know, this isn't a cat with 9 lives, but 2 of however many they have left are gone, and now mousesports won't even be able to try and smoke.
Did you just not subtract 2 from 9?
I just didn't bother. Yes.
All right. Don't do math live.
Wait, no, that's not even the math I was trying to do. We can talk about it after.
We'll get our math straight for map 2. Here's Guardian from the window with 2. These are just pistols here for mousesports. Looks like they've gone for some pistol upgrades. No armor. There's one dig. Will we find a second? Nearly had Zeus as he was dropping, and well, it's going to be the nade that finishes him off from Guardian.
Yeah, and you know, those rounds are demoralizing because you just lose everything for nothing, and you know, you do get a kill or 2 if you don't expect to win them, and that's what sucks about going into them. You're feeding Navi another round of win bonus on top of the guns that they already have. The fact that they get to have some free extra kills. It's not fun to give away a free eco, knowing that you have to eco and that you have to just go and die. But those are the breaks when you're playing against teams that are at this caliber. They aren't just going to give you those rounds for free. Most of the time, or almost ever. And
does still get one through the floor, I think.
1 shot through the floor.
Here's Edward also. Oh, close, but Dennis, having none of that, shoots him down. I thought Edward would have had the advantage there. And now mousesports does have the advantage. Dennis is low, but he's still alive, so it's a 3-on-2. Flamey with the P90. And I've noticed Navi have really been, actually a lot of teams have just been keeping P90s up. It was not completely unheard of in the first place, but it's been happening a lot more often. Here's an eco. Getting to the firebox, finds Flamey, now just leaving Seized, and we saw Seized with that triple spray down on the A site earlier, but he had teammates still causing distractions. Now he's by himself. Nico seems to have a good read on the situation and will hit his shots, so mousesports finding their 2nd round, and we should remember they are starting on the T side.
Nico is that player that's just so extremely confident. Whatever angle he's holding, it's because he knows that someone will show up. Even when that player isn't there yet, or hasn't turned that corner, or hasn't made that decision, he knows when he makes a decision that this rotator is going to appear here, it's because he's very aware of how his opponent is going to play. And like that round at A-Ramp, he cleared everything out as he walked out of Palace. And Flamey at A-Ramp could have stopped the bomb. Nico might not have cleared it, and he could have just been sitting there holding the site, calling it clear, but instead he was fully aware that there could be someone at A-Ramp, and it was Flamey, and he took care of him. Crucial kills from him.
Yeah, mousesports, I think, are actually in a case where maybe they couldn't have afforded ops, but it's not like the op was really working, so maybe they just decided to not go for it. It was Nico up on the middle boxes, or the island there, looking over a smoke, trying to cause a bit of a one-way, looking for Guardian, and see, this goes down, getting aggressive into that B kitchen next, chops him down. And here they will just run in, starting to throw the smokes, 1 onto the catwalk. 1 to the market window, and a Molotov and a smoke also to the market exit. Zeus finds Nico. Guardian going for shots through the smoke, not quite connecting. Edward is working his way up cap for the retake. It's a 4-on-4 retake, actually. Zeus and Edward with kits. Waiting for the smokes, and they're pulling back.
Yeah, I mean, that's a B site. You lose your only man there, and again, that's what I was talking about with C's there. I mean, that's what we discussed. He took an aggressive peek there because he assumed that this round it was going to be either make control, underpass, or A. And he said, you know, I'm going to try to push, get information. He threw a great flash through the smoke, and Next sprayed him down completely blind. So all in all, he had full rights to do that flash and get that kill because Next was completely blind, but at the same time, he came through an angle, which was the only one that Next expected him to be at. So I mean, it was good on both sides, except for the fact that C's was a solo man in the site, and as mousesports was setting up for a full B and couldn't get a single kill. And the cool thing about Mouse is that they always have, they aren't going to just pug B. You know, they don't just like hit it. They have a really good full execute for B, which is something that's truly uncommon. I mean, good smokes on the site. Some people, you know, think that you don't need full smokes on B. I mean, I'm one of those people. You just, you know, there's very easy ways to take B, and that's where people rush on ecos. But Mouse, you know, will always have a full-out plan, and that's what stopped Navi 4 men deep from trying to retake 4v4.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, there's like, seems like there's two perspectives there. Like, oh, let's just go for it. We're winning 8-2. Why not? We can afford to save. But they're like, no, let's just save here, have rifles again in the next round. We can afford to just lose this one because we're winning 8-2. And it seems like they're starting off well. Gob B taken down. He was legged and then shot again. So count 2 for Guardian. Shots hit. Flamey with the double. Chris J and Dennis falling to him. 3-on-2. Edward needs to get out of the fire. So he lives on 23 over in jungle. There's seized from the, no, that was Guardian in the connector. He turns to take down Edward. Nice shooting here from Nex.
And he knows exactly where Seized is.
Both of these guys are so low though, 7 and 15 HP. That's one shot anywhere right now.
Wow, going for this plant. And all of a sudden,
the Molotovs.
All of a sudden it's Nex's round to lose. I mean, he has full positional advantage.
And he'll go for the shadow defense. Have to take the battle if the player runs into the site, but he's hoping to get him crossing and checking other things right now. But he's looking over to the right when Seas peeks out. We'll go ahead and get that defuse even without the kit. So Navi winning another.
Oh, yeah. And Nex almost 1v3 wins that round, but instead Seeds does come away with it because I think he was way too worried about jungle being an option, which it fully was. Seeds simply waited in CT, didn't peek when the bomb got on planet, and then waited an extra 10 seconds after the Molotov went out to make it seem like there was another longer rotate in store for Nex, and that's how he played. He outplayed Nex in that situation. Both of them were very low, but I mean that was a very, very good play by Seeds. Otherwise, this could have been 8-4, which is a really different scoreline in my eyes. And I think as a viewer, like you feel that way when you see it. And now mousesports are forcing up anyway behind that plant. Cobb just a smoke and a flash in his hands along with that Tech 9.
Yeah, the two guys we spent quite a bit of time talking about, Guardian and Seized, top ranking for the teams right now. I think Guardian was near 19, Seized the other one in double digits at 10. Are only so many people to kill here. Seized with an A4, has those extra bullets, but Next landing hits the entry. Look how low these players on mousesports are. This is a 3v4, was 3v5, but it seems fairly winnable. Gambi will turn from that flash, and no one even committed behind it. Flamey looking the other way, and Navi content to save again. This will give mousesports their 4th round, and they get a couple more. I mean, this half certainly started rough, but you went 9-6. Maybe that's not so bad.
Yeah, and you know what's more important, at least from my perspective, is seeing that like mousesports are keeping composure on rounds that aren't coming across lucky rounds. Also, aren't winning too many rounds in 1v1s, like winning very dominant rounds. Like this round, they kept 4 alive. They've made Navi save where they had 4 alive and mousesports had 5. Another round, mousesports. The other round, mousesports won. They had 5 alive. This round, they had 4 until they lost one to the bomb. But still 3 alive. So these are very solid rounds. And Navi, I think the only reason that they're winning rounds is because Guardian has had so much impact with that op. He's actually gotten like 2 or 3 kills constantly. And he's up to 19?
Yeah, it is 19 and 10.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, sorry. Well, 19. He's 19 and 5. 10 kills and 6 deaths for Seized. So those two combined, one away from 30 right now.
Now let's see, because they actually had to force with Seized. That means that they cannot play that 3-1-1 anymore. They have to have an extra man on Cat. I mean, it's almost his own fault, really. Like Nex jumped through a smoke. Seized was waiting for him at the perfect angle, and Nex just straight up won the trade.
Dennis hoping that someone will feel confident enough to peek into underpass. Not the case. Zeus just watching it there from the potted plants inside of the A connector. Although looking on that X-ray now, we'll switch over to them. Chris J and Dennis are making their way down here.
You don't want to hold an angle for an op, though.
Yeah, that could be tough for an easy kill. Did he switch to the other side, actually? I didn't quite catch it. Let's Yeah, he did, and he's been spotted. Chris J not going to miss that one. Window smoke will go out.
Oh, good flash.
And I assume they've got something down on connector for themselves as well, or they'd get pinched. They're working their way out. One in Palace. Who's going to find the shots? Next brings down Edward. Guardian with the nade that could do a lot of damage. Takes Chris J to about half, but Dennis and now Gabi both get in frags. They line up for Guardian. He finds 2 right there. I think that was 3 on the round, maybe just the 2. Chris J and Gabi, they don't want to lose a round like this. That smoke's got a bit of a gap in it. Guardian will miss that shot. That would have been demoralizing for mousesports if they had just died on the cross right there. That would have been the bomb. Now spraying through the box, switches out, does hit Chris J down to 15, who's now cross, and I'm not sure Guardian noticed it through the smoke. Jumps out to the wooded box, a ridiculously quick shot onto Gabi. Now into the 1 versus 1. Guardian, he does have the kit. We talked about op battles. We're going to get one here. It doesn't seem like Guardian's got the information that Chris J is low. It just prefers the op anyway. After all, he is Guardian, but Chris J from connector will take his head off.
What a play from Chris, though. I mean, that was so close from Guardian. He got that insane shot. He did so much damage through the box. He almost hit another player crossing before it was a 1v2 with the bomb down. And getting that collateral as well. Guardian is just on fire right now. But that was a really nice 1v1 from Chris, who actually pushed the CT. He got away from that triple box, which he knew was going to be way too spammable for him to play a 1v1 properly and play the time. And then instead of actually like running through jungle and making a ton of noise, he just jumped out window, took his time, and said, if Guardian doesn't fake this bomb, then I lose. And so I'm just going to have to play this, counting on the fact that he will fake it, and he made the right call there. So just totally called him out on that. Guardian could have stuck that bomb and won.
All right, now Navi going into the last round of the first half. We see the 5-7 flash. Probably had some more days to start things off. That's on Zeus. Edward, no armor, mag 7. That's quite a buy-in. You see him there in the back of the B site, seized with the scout, taking off the head of next. Zeus prior to that getting a kill. Here's Chris J and Gabi working into the B site. C's still holding on. Again, has a scout, not the best, oh my gosh, but he still gets beside Gabi. Easy shots for the frag. Here's Nico trying to still save this round, but the FAMAS of Guardian is too strong. Flamey's got eyes on the bomb, and it's Chris J in a 1 versus 2. I think he's got the Tech 9 drawn at the